So everybody, this is my mom. This is MaryAnn Scofield, and she's here for a reason, not just to put her on and let her be seen where I've got a little something with her, but she's actually here to serve a purpose, because on my left, stage right, is that stage right, Cassie? Is this stage right? Okay. This is Kerry Fink, everybody. He's not a stranger to this show, and I'm not on his, but he is in command of Helping Seniors of Brevard. And Kerry, I appreciate you coming out today. Say hello and give me a mic check real quick.
Hey, well, it is a real pleasure to be here enjoying this. Every time there's an opportunity to be here at Ford's Garage here in Viera. The food is great, the service is great, and it's always so much fun to be here.
Beautiful.
And it's great to be on your show, too, and have a chance to talk with you.
Well, Kerry, I haven't seen you, so when you walked in, I gave you a hug and I said Happy New Year's, because I haven't seen you since that day we were out at the American Muscle Car Museum. That is Mark Pelock's place. And I'm going to tell you, Florida, you don't have to come here to go to Orlando. You don't. I'm telling you, there is so much car stuff and everything else that you'd want. You want to go big fishing? You can do it here. You want to watch shuttles and rock? You want to hear an old Auga horn? Come to Ford's Garage. They got it going on every time. I don't know what that does, but every time there's a reason they do it. When they do it, I have to find out what it is. So, but when we saw each other last, we were there, and you were doing your year-end car giveaway.
That's right.
It was spectacular.
Thank you.
You are getting ready to kick off a new season.
Correct.
Have you kicked it off yet?
So, yeah, actually we did. We were just out at a great car show called the Higher Power Car Show. It's there at Trinity.
Amen.
At Trinity Wellsprings Church there in Satellite Beach. And for years now, this is actually our 10th annual Helping Seniors Car Raffle. And every year that has become our official kickoff moment where we announce the next car raffle. And so we were there. They sent us out with a beautiful Chevrolet Colorado pickup truck. It's one of the cars you could win in the contest. And so we had a great time. And we also had a Mitsubishi Outlander, which is another great car in the car raffle, and it's a big fundraiser for Helping Seniors. And what you were talking about, of course, was when we had the opportunity to actually do the grand drawing for the car raffle. You were actually out there. You did some segments and things right there from the American Muscle Car Museum. What a blessing it is to have that kind of a place to be able to do that kind of an event here each year.
And what a crowd turnout! I don't know, Kerry. Honestly, the amount of people. I'm gonna guess 1,000, give or take a couple hundred.
Yeah. So Mark Pylock, who knows a thing or two about the people on the property, said throughout the day he thought they had over 5,000 people attend.
Wow.
So it was another record day for the Helping Seniors Car Raffle fundraiser.
Yeah.
And that's always been the point, is like, we'll get in and we'll talk a little bit about Helping Seniors as a charity.
Yes.
This is the fun part of what we get to do. It's the fundraiser that keeps our little charity going. And so years ago, our founder, a guy named Joe Steckler, was a retired Navy captain who saw the need for doing more for seniors. He was the same guy that built up the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation, created what they call Joe's Clubs to these days.
Yes.
And then I met him when he was creating Helping Seniors, which is now 15 years ago. And he said there's more work that we have to do for seniors. And so we all kind of banded together and said, let's see if we can make a difference. And he had a lot of experience with his good friend A.J. Hires, the car dealer, who has one of really just about every car brand that matters. And so he said he helped Joe raise money to build the Joe's Clubs, and he certainly has helped us raise money for the Helping Seniors organization. And it always ends up each year now, this will be our 10th year, where it's a choose your car raffle. So you get a choice of 7 great cars, basically one representative of each of his dealerships, and then it's always fun to see what the winner picks each year. It's just so much fun.
I'm glad you brought AJ up, because we all turn the TV on and there's this guy, warranty forever, and you often wonder about the littles of that. And I'm going to get AJ on here one day and we're going to sit and talk for a bit.
Yeah.
But this guy, Kerry, he really cares about the community.
Yes, he does.
I mean, he's not just a savvy businessman that has 7 dealerships. I am busy. I'm busy with just Dolphin Auto and Collision and this thing here, the American Car Classics Radio Podcast. I can't imagine. I try and chase him down sometimes. I call one dealership. They, oh, he just went over to Kia. I call, no, he just went to Mazda. No, he's over it. And I'm like, man, sit still for 5 minutes, AJ. Let me get you.
Yeah, he's such a good guy. I don't think people realize how much he actually does for this community, because not only does he help the work of helping seniors each year, but he and his lovely wife have helped many charities over the years, and he always gives back into the community. And one of the things that's important to him is finding local charities that he can support and feel good about supporting. And so we're just blessed that he and Joe had that friendship going those. We were together at Joe's memorial service last summer at Holy Name, and out of his busy schedule, AJ took time to be there to honor his good friend Joe Steckler. Yeah. And we got to talking. He said, Kerry, he said, I'll bet we've raised millions and millions for charity, because he said, I was working with Joe for all those years. And it's true. If it wasn't for AJ's help, I don't know that Helping Seniors would actually exist, because his willingness to step up and help us make that car raffle is a big deal. And the other person who's a real hero in this, we already mentioned his name, is Mark Pylock with the American Muscle Car Museum.
Without a doubt.
Because Joe had gone to Mark actually before he opened the museum and said, hey, we're a charity, we're trying to do this. And Mark invited us to be able to do our drawing there, and we never take it for granted, but he's been kind to invite us back every single year. So this is our 10th annual car raffle, and it's such a great thing. He opens up the museum, everybody gets to tour this collection, which grows by leaps and bounds. Is 500 cars now?
Yeah, 500. He's now got lifts to put cars on, to put another one underneath, because you can't expand a building anymore, Kerry. It's a huge, huge complex. But 500 of the coolest, cleanest, classic cars that you will ever see.
Yeah, and what's amazing to me is if you ever get a chance to talk to Ed Diedick, who's the operations guy, and Andrew Mackey, who runs basically all the events and things like that, they'll tell you that every single car in there has a purpose and a story behind it. It's not like, it's not like Mark just said, oh, that's a pretty car, I want one of those in my collection. There is a real story for each vehicle that's in there.
What I think needs to be mentioned about Mark's collection, and it is Mark's collection, even though it's a museum, he is the curator, owner of it, and so they're his. He has 6 GT40s.
Yeah, that front lobby.
I think when you own one, you're doing something.
Yeah.
But they all have nameplates, they all have tags, they all tell about what they are and what they do. Are you hearing Kerry very well in your headphones? Okay. All right, so this is where I want to turn the tables a little bit. Kerry and MaryAnn, you've never met. You got to sit and start talking a couple minutes there. Yeah. But we're from Pinellas County, Florida.
Right.
And we grew up over on the beach there.
Right.
And my sister's here today. My daughter's here today. And we had such a great upbringing in Clearwater, in St. Pete. It was absolutely beautiful. Mom and Dad, we sailed a lot, and so when I'm the youngest of 3 and they got rid of me, hell, before they got rid of me, they were planning their escape, and they sold the house, and they had a sailboat constructed for them over in Finland. They got it. They went sailing for several years. When they landed here in Melbourne. So we transitioned over and followed and liked it enough that eventually we came over, and now Cassie's gone to South Carolina, which is where I think Floridians go to retire. But when I used to come over here, and my dad's been gone now, he passed about 6.5 years ago, I remember driving down Wickham Road, we were coming south, and I saw off to my right-hand side this thing that said Joe's Place. Mm-hmm. Now, my dad's name is Joe, so I quickly asked the question, oh, look, it's Dad's. It says adult, what? And it's for seniors that family members think about long enough that because they suffer with Alzheimer's or something that they shouldn't just sit at home or be in a home.
Correct.
That this is and I don't want to say a daycare, but it is a place where you get to bring somebody where they can still be a human.
Yes.
They can still articulate, think, expand, and do. And the reason that my mom is here is because she is living proof that at 93, life doesn't have to be over. As I said before she was sitting down, my mom lives by herself. I may get some people that say, "Oh, Kenny, you should be with her because she." No, I'm close. I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away, literally. And we spend tons of time, and we do all the nights together and all the mornings and all the stuff that time allows me. But not every senior is blessed to have this longevity. My dad was 92. As it started out, my mom is 5 years younger, so it became a quest that she was going to live longer than Dad and just do that. But now she's broken all the records of what? Her birthday is the 4th of July. It is the 250th birthday of America. It's going to be the biggest, baddest one yet. And I'm here to tell you, she ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
So I wanted you two to be together because I really felt that there was some connection that you could express to Mom in the plight of seniors. Social Security gives you a little bump. Medicare gives you a lot bigger bump. It's a struggle, right? The economy?
Yeah, it's a bit of a struggle, yes.
Certainly you've seen from the Hindenburg, what was it called? What was it? The Hindenburg was a
Zeppelin.
So certainly we've gone from that to right off our coast. We watch the rockets out your back door, and they take off, and it's incredible. You've seen a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed by it, and I get stories firsthand as I did from Dad and for you. But for me, there's a tie-in for you two, because seniors need to know where they can turn to, what they can do, and how they can make the most of their years, because you have the opportunity to go to a senior center right down the road. The shuttle will take you, and you can go hang out with other people your age and do stuff.
Yeah.
It's not your boat.
No, it isn't. I function very well alone. And I don't mind being alone. I have friends where I live, and fortunately, you now very close at hand. An awful lot of people my age don't have family, and I weep for them because it's not easy, and I try not to take too much of Kenny's time, but I do. And the more he gives, the more I'm willing to take.
I do give. I deliver some, but I take some.
Yeah.
You and I are two peas in a pot. We're both left-handed. I am, of course, everything from you.
Yeah.
And we get along charismatically terrific.
Yeah.
So there aren't any qualms in our relationship with this or anything else. I know that I get frustrated. Sometimes I come home after a bad mood or something, whatever. I come over to your house and we go to cook dinner and do and whatever, and I'm not always the best person for conversation. But I'm not the only person you've talked to. You have a gated community with people. You've been there for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And so you have a bunch of friends, but there are people, and there are people that don't have that do sit there maybe alone. They suffer, they struggle, and whatever. And Kerry, this is where you come in. Your and I say your organization. I don't know that it's yours, but it is, I guess, the legacy of Joe. And what made Joe do this? What do you know what brought him to think about this? Because he wasn't a senior when he did this.
No, his last command, Joe was a guy who was a commander of submarines. So back in the Korean War days and all those, he was could be found someplace in the world under the seas. And then eventually he became fairly high up and working in the Pentagon and things like that. But he always told the story that his last command in the Navy was as the U.S. Navy retirement homes commander there in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Wow.
And so I think that's what gave him a passion and a concern for the well-being of seniors. And so when he retired after a great career serving our country in the Navy, he and his wife choose to move to Satellite Beach. They wanted to be near then the Air Force Base, now the Space Force Base.
That's right.
And I just feel like Joe was a guy who couldn't stay retired. So shortly after he arrived here, he got busy with the Alzheimer's Association, but he wanted to take it to another level. He wanted it to not just be a national effort to try to stamp out Alzheimer's, but he wanted to be, and this is a point that you guys were both touching on, he wanted to find a way to help people who were hopeful for a cure, but who are living with the reality of it right now. And so to the point that you said, there has to be a way to give people some dignity with their life and what they're doing. But the other half of this is to benefit the caregiver, right? Because if you're the person who's dealing with somebody in the family with some sort of a cognitive issue, you're a caregiver. And you know, what's the first thing they tell you when you get on the airplane and they give you the safety briefing? They said, you know, if we hit a problem, they're going to drop an oxygen mask out. And what do they tell you? You got to put that mask on yourself first and then attend to the person next to you, because if you go down, you're not going to be able to help the person next to you. And a lot of times that's what we see, is that it is so difficult and so time consuming for the caregiver to try to, they'll do anything, they'll neglect themselves. And so what Joe built out of that was a way to help both sides of that equation, the caregiver and the person. And so I think I mentioned this when we were together on your podcast before. I met Joe as he had retired from that. He built that up, got 3 Joe's Clubs established in the county.
Yeah, which is amazing. Did you know there were 3?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 3 of them in the county and doing great work. They're great friends of ours. But the other thing that's important to understand is when I met Joe, literally we have had for years a Christian multimedia business. And Joe literally, back in the day, we owned a TV studio building. Joe wandered in off the street and he said, "What is it you guys do here?" And so we kicked up a conversation. He said, "Well," he said, "I'm trying to build an organization that I feel like there's more work we need to do for seniors. And I need somebody who can help me do TV, radio, and all these things." And so as he explained it, he said, what I learned in building the Joe's Clubs and everything with Brevard Alzheimer's, he said, many families are challenged with cognitive issues. He said, but many are not. He goes, but every family runs into senior issues. And he goes, we need an organization that can help people navigate the challenges you run into as a senior. And so what we found now, here we are 15 years later in the Helping Seniors world, we operate the County Senior Information Helpline. I'm going to give you that number in just a second.
Yeah, please do.
If you can get a number or get a pencil or some way that
get
you
your
can
phone
take
out
down.
and be ready to text it. Yeah.
I'll give you that in just a second. So we operate the County Senior Information Helpline, which is a free call. Last year we took over 4,500 calls from seniors, their families.
That's great.
And people who love and care for seniors. And so here's the thing. I'm going to give you that number. It's area code 321-473-7770. 321-473-7770. That is the Helping Seniors Senior Information Helpline. And I tell people we're a nonprofit, so we have no reason to exist other than to do what we do. But our business, if you will, is to try to help seniors and their families navigate to a good solution. So what we are, the phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, the phone number is 321-473-7770.
And I believe John is typing that in, so it's going to come across our screen, so it's going to be there for people to see.
So, but here's the point. Like, I joke, I say, you could be the smartest person in the room, but when you run into these things about senior-related stuff, you have no, frame of reference. So I joke, we live here where they launch rockets all the time. So we have a bunch of rocket scientists who live in Brevard County.
Yeah.
These are almost by definition probably some of the smartest people on the planet. But you're smart in your lane, right?
Yeah, your field.
So once somebody throws you to something over here, you're like, I don't know. And for those families that run through senior challenges, it usually winds up like this, because we get these calls all the time. They're saying mom can't come home safe from the hospital. So we don't know what to do because, we hadn't thought about this or we hadn't figured out what to do. What do we do? So you could be really smart, but now you're trying to make big decisions under a very strict time frame because mom's got to be out of the hospital 3 p.m. Tuesday or whatever it is. And so what you find yourself doing is making big decisions, but without having a chance to research, figure out what might be best or what's the best thing. And so that's where we kind of come in. People call us, and it's not just the seniors. Sometimes it's the family and loved ones of the seniors. Sometimes it's a concerned neighbor who says, I see Mrs. So-and-so. She lives 3 doors down. Her yard doesn't look like it's being kept up. I'm just concerned. Is she okay?
Right.
And we get a lot of those kind of calls. And so we get them from all kinds. And then what we try to do, we do what we call senior navigation. We can't solve all the problems, but we're going to try to help them navigate to the next safe harbor, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you ask, when people call you with that question, just in particular, Kerry, do you tell them that maybe you start off with a welfare check with the police, make sure they're good, but it's a little less escalated than that? This is more of, I know she needs help and doesn't know. Maybe they saw a person struggling to mow a yard or something, but no, they can't do it. I don't know that Dad clinically had cognitive issues. But he did, right?
Well, yes, but not severe.
You were his caretaker, Mom, although he didn't need a lot of minute by minute or hour by hour care.
No.
But he needed help as he got older to move around, to have some of those conveniences that would have been difficult for him just to get up repeatedly and get and do. And you were there and you gave it to him. I think we struggled with Dad maybe 3 or 4 years, probably somewhere in that.
Yeah, close to that. Yes. Yeah.
And so we never called anybody, Kerry. I think that we relied on family, as my sister was here still with her husband, and we had our own little network. So I think we felt we were okay. But I go back in time and I say how beneficial it would have been to have just, if not a facility to go to or a book to read about what to catch up on or how to figure it out, but a person to talk to in that, because it wasn't something that emergency services were going to help you with or anything else. And you could call hospital and get that. So where else do you turn?
Exactly.
And then the communities that don't have this, I wonder what they do. Is there just an entrepreneur somewhere in every county that's thinking about mankind and humanity and that they step up and do? Probably not.
Well, I think, it's an interesting, there's several topics we just covered in there. First of all, I've met your family. You have a beautiful family, and you guys are really blessed with that. We get calls from families where there is no family.
Or they're up north.
Or there's challenges within the family dynamics or things like that. So it's challenging even when you have a good family where everybody is pulling in the same direction trying to make it happen, because still at the end of the day, you're kind of going down a road that you don't know exactly what the next turn means.
That's right.
Right? So you're trying to navigate as best you can.
Yeah.
And I always say getting older is on-the-job training, right?
Yeah.
The best you can hope to do, and this is why education becomes such a big part of what we also do as a charity, because we can see when it's done well, how much benefit there is.
The fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
I take a broken car and I fix it, and the person drives away and they're happy. Yours is a life success story. Am I your caretaker? I do littles, but
you follow through. You check, and then you remember to query the next day.
Yeah.
How did you sleep last night?
Yeah.
Etc. Kind of thing.
For me, I don't want you. You still want to drive. You still have your license and everything, and there's a car in your driveway. But I want to keep you off the roads as much as I can, because I know I'm an automotive guy, so I know automotive statistics and I know how it goes. I'm a former firefighter, so I've seen the worst of the worst. But I call every day on the way home. Is there anything we need at home?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything you need? Is your milk sour? Just a little something, whatever.
Yeah.
And it just saves that little step. But you, knowing that you have a license and you have a car, you could do whatever the heck you want to, but knowing that there's someone coming when they get off work to hang out, to do, it probably eases a little bit of anxiety.
It does.
I'm stuck.
Well, and I have not driven since late January.
Okay.
Yes.
This is February 11th, everybody. she's saying
I haven't driven for at least 2 weeks. And then my last trip was like a 1.5 mile round trip to the bank and back.
Yeah. Yeah, she had to pull out my weekly pay. Don't get confused on that. But it is the plight of seniors that when is it that you give up that last bit of freedom, your license? Kerry, this is a stuck place for a lot, and there is commuter buses that do, and we do have SCAT and things that come around and help and do. But I'm gonna say this, and I don't want to get hit. We're on the air live, so you're not gonna hit me. Seniors don't have patience.
Well, so one of the things that I wanted to
I didn't have patience as a child.
One of the things that I want to be clear about is that in the 15 years we've been doing Helping Seniors, the key is, just like when we're younger people, we're all individuals. You know, we all have our different tics and things like that, but we all are flawed in some place, right? If we're honest with ourselves. And so everybody has different challenges. It's the same with seniors.
Yeah.
Not everybody hits the same challenge. However, having done this now for 15 years, we recognize there's big, broad categories. And so we've talked about something that builds on something Joe Steckler talked about. He said every person should develop an aging plan. Okay? So we call it getting your ducks in a row to try to make it feel a little less serious. But here's what, so think about it. When you were a kid in high school, every time you'd meet somebody older, say, well, what is your plan? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to do, what's your career going to look like? And then when you get a little farther in life, they're going to come to you and say, okay, so what's your plan? Are you going to get a house? Are you going to send your kids to college? What are you going to do? How are you going to do this? And then people later on will come and say, well, what's your retirement plan? But what they're talking about is your money. They're not really, and when you answer the question, you're thinking about which golf course you want to play.
Yeah.
Or I want to take that cruise, or you have something in mind that's not necessarily what could actually wind up on your plate as a senior.
Right.
So at the end of the day, what we've understood is that the aging plan helps you, just like here in Florida, we understand what a hurricane plan is.
Yeah.
It does not mean you want a problem. It means you want to have thought through, well, if I start to run into stuff, I'm going to make sure I have the batteries. I'm going to make sure I have the generator. I have an evacuation, whatever it is.
That's an evacuation plan.
Right.
That's what I'm looking at there.
Yeah.
Seniors, they're not leaving. They're here.
Right.
So you need a ducks in a row. Get your finalities figured out. I will say that I commend my mom and dad. They have been great educators to my sisters and I. You had your cremation stuff done.
2004.
Which is brilliant. But I want to be real careful to interject this. So an aging plan is not about death, actually. It is actually about your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, that's one part of it. It has to be in there.
Yeah.
But the point is actually for everybody, given their particular situations, how can you maximize every day that you have? Because all of us have different challenges. Some are going to be financial. Some are going to be medical. There's going to be different things that different people have to work their way through.
Yeah.
How do you get through this? So we've come up with 7, we call it, if I can do this right, 7 pillars that we talk about in the aging plan. And so a couple of those that we started talking about, so like the very first one that we talk about, and if it's okay with you, I'll just run through them real quick.
Absolutely.
The first one we talk about a lot is your health. You know, it's always been said, if you have your health, you have everything. Right?
Yeah, we talk about having your full faculties. Without one of them, something you start to mentally then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because if you have your health, even if you have other problems, maybe they're financial, whatever, relational, whatever, when you have your health, at least you have the energy to start working on trying to fix those things,
Amen.
right? So when you have your health, that's why we put health and wellness number one. You've got to do all you can to preserve, protect, and maximize your health, whatever that means. Then the second area that's really kind of, it kind of sort of gets into it, we talk about legal. So there's a lot of things that you have to think about legally, or you should be thinking about legally as a senior. So we are talking about those end-of-life things like, do you have a trust, a will, or all those kind of things that we know we should put together, and we should have that. But it's not just that. There are also medical decisions. If I can't make a decision for myself, who do I trust to tell the doctor what to do next? And here's the point. So I have an elder law attorney friend that says this. He says, if you don't have a plan, it's okay. The government has a plan.
Yeah, but you don't want to go by that government plan.
So that's what I say. It may not line up with what you have in mind. So taking a look and getting your legal ducks in a row is important. So that's the second pillar. The third pillar, we talk about financial. Now, this is important because all your life, when you're working, they're telling you need to set aside money for your retirement. You're going to figure out how your Social Security works. You're going to figure out how all this stuff's going to work. The challenge that folks are dealing with now, we have the lady who is she volunteers her time as our treasurer for our nonprofit. Her name is Tisha Hill. She's like a big wig with Ameriprise and Black Sands Wealth Management. And she always says, Kerry, she said, in the industry, we call it longevity planning because people are having to understand I'm going to live a lot longer than maybe I originally thought I was going to live. And I want to make sure that I have enough resources to get me through all of that. Yeah. So here's the point. I love to tell this story. So we're all old enough that we can remember a few years ago, there was a national, Willard Scott would come on national TV, I think it was NBC Today, and he would honor the two people in America who had turned 100, they would send them a boatload of Smucker's jam or jellies or something. I remember it. Okay? So now, fast forward, we have so many people who are turning 100 every single day in America. So I always say we have more seniors right here in Florida for three reasons. Number one, people are turning 65 one every 7 seconds across the country. Wow. So we are having all the boomers, all the millennials are starting to age into that. And so what is happening is we have more seniors coming in on the young end. On the other side, seniors are just flat living longer. So we get more seniors on the other side. They're just flat. So we used to tell this story back in our business days in New York City when we would go and talk to advertising agencies about the value of an older market. We said in 1900, if you turned 50, statistically, you were dead.
Oh, shit.
You know? I mean, that's literally, that's what life expectancy looked like then. Today, and this was 20 years ago when we quoted the statistic. Today, we would say if you turn 65, your average life expectancy is another 18 years. So think about what is going to happen with the advent of AI to help us figure out medical procedures and things that are going to help. So we're just going to be living longer and longer. So we have more seniors on that end too. And then the third reason, of course, here in Florida, everybody wants to join us in Florida because it's a great place to be.
Yeah. Yeah, the snowbirds and then the retirees.
So those are the first three pillars. Okay. So continuing on, pillar number 4 is every senior needs to make decisions about, most of us say we want to stay home, but we need to think about staying home safely.
I worry about staying at home, the walls close in.
Yep.
Eventually, the walls close in. So I come to you and I say a lot to you. Don't you want to get out today? Do you want to go do this? You want that? And let's venture at something. Sometimes it's just like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, but every day.
I worry about her mental worth on that because she is alone. There are a couple cats, and they do keep her happy and busy. But I work, so I worry about the 4 walls closing in.
Well, but you're so blessed that you are in a position to say, this is what I feel like today. I want to do something.
Yes.
I don't want to do something. You're blessed to have that choice and ability to communicate that too. You know, and so you guys have such a good relationship because you guys will talk with each other. Like a lot of times, the challenges we see, there's a whole thing that we do about training younger people to talk to older people and half of it is listening, right?
Listen, that's a big one. I'm going to stop you because my sister, who lives in South Carolina, and I'll say this is Cassie Wolfson. She's the one that I turn to when I get frustrated because I don't always know how to do this. And when Dad was gone and when I came into this role where I'm here to be with my mom and hang out and help out or whatever it is that you want to call it, I would say to Cassie, I've never talked dumb or talked down to my mom or anything. My dad, I don't know how to do this. Her hearing has gotten a little worse, and I come home frustrated, and my tolerance is about this much, and I will call her at times and say, look, I'm what do I, and she will give me that soothing, calm something, but I will say that Tiana and I will say that my friend Darren, they have helped me to learn to talk better to my mom.
Well, it's a challenge because a lot of times, my dad said you can't put an old head on young shoulders, which means when you're younger, you don't really understand everything that an older person is going through and what they're having to. And so a lot of times we'll make dumb decisions, like if you're frustrated with an older person and saying, somehow you explain something, you want them to do it, and instead of giving them the time to process and understand what's being asked of them, a lot of times our flippant answer is going to be
short. I've got it. Just sit there.
Or if we just yell it louder, that's all of a sudden going to make it better.
Yeah.
And so part of it is so this is why this whole thing about helping people understand, seniors understanding, we love to do things multi-generationally because that helps So there was an ad agency that focused on 50 plus, and they had a photograph of a 60-year-old woman, and she was obviously very good at swimming. That was her sport and things like that. And the subtitle next to it was, you see me, but everything that you hope to be, I have already become. And we forget that, right?
Yeah.
That the senior has all this life experience that's
Absolutely.
valuable. All this, they deserve. What does senior mean if you have a position in a company? The more senior you are, the more responsible you are. Other people are reporting to you.
That's right.
That's how we should be using the
You
term
command respect, but not often with a senior citizen as opposed to a senior staffer. A senior citizen, their driving is a little slower.
Yeah.
Maybe a little harder around the corner. Maybe we're slower with a cart in the store. Maybe we're picking the wrong line or standing in the middle of the aisle. And other people that are youthful, that are young, that are fast, they need to get in, they get out, they just want that one eye, whatever it was. We are cumbersome to them. We are in their way. We are, and so there's accepting that your role isn't part of the mainstream anymore.
Right. Well, there's so many dynamics in all of it. But the thing I do say is that for all generations to understand what's going on, because, you live long enough. I remember Joe used to say this. He said, Kerry, getting old is not easy.
How old was Joe when he passed?
We lost Joe at age 91. And to be honest, literally the day we lost him, I had just spoken to him the evening before, and he was, Kerry, you guys got to keep this going. This is so important. It's more important than when we started it. And I agree, Joe. We're committed. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it going. But so his mind was sharp. His body just gave out.
A number. What are we on? 5 or 6? We're on. You didn't do all 7.
No. So I was. Yeah. So actually, technically, I was on number 4, which is about living safely at home. Most of us say we want to live safe at home, but we need to be wise enough to figure out what that means.
Yeah.
So things like figuring out what are trip hazards, how do I make my home safe? Do I need to do modification? Should there be a ramp? Should there be handholds in the shower and things like that? How do I keep from falling? There's also points like security, like how do I keep my home safe? I mean, we're in the middle of this drama of this
with
story.
The Guthries. Yep.
Out in New Mexico. So how do we keep people safe at home? And then we kind of lump it in there. It's not exactly staying safe at home, but it's trying to keep seniors safe from scams. So you got to keep You got to keep your money safe. You got to keep all those things together. Otherwise, something dramatic could happen, and now whatever you had planned will be out the window because the money's gone. So that's the fourth. The fifth one is a lot of times people will choose a different senior living option. So they might make the calculation, you know what, this was a great home for raising the kids when we were all here. I don't need this much space. It's too much to keep up with. Give me a spot where I can have, I don't have to cut the grass, or I don't have to worry about it being cut.
This is them again, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They planned that Dad was 74 and he got on the roof.
He was on the roof and took a fall, and
stubborn as
I
all get
said,
out.
stop.
Yeah.
And you all started thinking about what we should do to make life simpler as we get older.
Yeah.
And this is what I tell you, they are the poster children for your group, because they really were methodical about each generation and each decade as they were getting to it. So they went to an HOA. Yep. A lot of us don't like that. You can't paint your house a certain color. You can't have work on a car to drive. You can't have a shed out back. But they knew the roofs were going to be taken care of. The lawn was taken care of. It was easy and tight. It's a small community, which gave them the friend base that they have now that come by and don't forget about them. Number 6.
Well, so just real quickly to cap that point out. So when you're thinking about that, remember, sometimes memory challenges cause you to have to think about a different location. So sometimes it's just like, hey, I'm ready to downsize. It's good. So I could look at independent living. I could look at assisted living. And for a lot of us, what we don't understand, or because we recognize our own experiences growing up, maybe to go see great-grandmother, grandfather at the, quote, old folks home. Yeah. And that was a horrifying experience, you know?
No, we remember Geraldo Rivera in 2020 when they were chained to the side of a post in a hallway. It was a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore. It's like living on a cruise ship. I mean, it's all different.
It's also like paying like you're living on a cruise ship, because I don't want to drag it out. I've got other stuff, but I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah. So that's point number 5. Point number 6 is what we call transportation and organization. It is thinking about those things ahead that we were talking about. Like, you want to decide, like, if I can't drive, how do I get where I'm trying to go? All those kind of things are important. Organization means, like, if something happens to me, and I'm just saying the paramedic has to come in, will they be able to know what my medications are? Will my family know where my paperwork is? Different things like that. And then number 7, which almost takes us full circle back to health and wealth, is Medicare and Medicaid, because you have to have that in place if you're going to manage your health. And there's a lot of things that everybody needs to know about it. So those are the 7 steps in an aging plan.
I love, Mom, that they all are things that we have thought about and addressed and tackled, because we talk about the safety of the home. We talk about the scams. We know that they're everywhere. Mom takes her mail. If it isn't something that she knows is pertinent to her, it's right in the garbage can. She doesn't answer the phone for anybody that is not in her call dial.
Right.
It just keeps it simple.
Yeah.
The old thing that they taught us was KISS.
No.
Keep it simple, stupid, and less is more, and it's easier to manage and do.
You guys are doing so many things right. Yeah. You know, it's really good to see.
I love that. All right, well, this is where I'm going to dump down. I know I've got some other people coming in. I think there's some food down the road for me. So I want to say, Kerry, I love you, and I appreciate building this relationship with you and having us. He wants a picture.
Yeah, we're going to do a photo, so I have something to post out on our Helping Seniors.
Absolutely.
So take many. Film is cheap.
Yeah, he says film is cheap. I love it. Back in the day, it didn't used to be like that. Everybody had a camera or anything else.
Thank you, Kenny. Always a pleasure to be here.
Kerry, I'm gonna see you a lot this year, and we're gonna do a lot with each other, because I don't just love what you do for the community or anything else, but I've got a reason to care about what you do.
Absolutely.
So,
and so let's keep that in mind, and keep this date in mind. October 25, 2026. That's the date. You want to get that on your calendar. right now because that's going to be our 10th annual Helping Seniors Car Raffle. So I expect to see you, all of you guys come on out and we'll have a lot of fun that day.
We are going to work with AJ and Mark, and we're going to try to make this year, I think it's worth an anniversary date, and we're going to try and up the game somehow. And I might try, I think I might try to dump $1,000 into the winner's car, and we'll just see how that works for the year.
Let's figure it out.
All right?
Let's do it.
So, Kerry,
well, thank you, Kenny.
Thank you for everything.
And so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. God bless you.